Who know? But the origin of the Nephilim is one of the most mysterious passages in the Bible. Mentioned in the book of Genesis, the Nephilim are described as the giants of the earth, beings of extraordinary strength and imposing appearance. According to the biblical text, they would have emerged from an unlikely union. Fallen angels, known as sons of God, would have joined the daughters of men, generating descendants with skills and power beyond the ordinary. But how true is the story? Who were these angels and why did they decide to break the barrier between the spiritual and the material? Over the centuries, scholars and theologians have tried to decipher the mystery of these children of angels too. Many believe that the story of the Nephilim may symbolize the moral corruption and imbalance of the ancient world. Others see in term a literal explanation for the giants and extraordinary beings that appear in various ancient cultures. Were the Nephilim just a metaphor for power and decay, or was there really a race of giants that terrorized ancient civilizations? In ancient times, legends of giants roaming the earth were not limited to the Hebrew people. Several cultures, such as the Greeks, Sumerians, and even Native American tribes, talk about colossal, half-human beings who governed regions or protected ancestral secrets. In the case of the Nephilim, this story seemed to echo a forgotten time, when enormous creatures walked alongside men, influencing both war and peace. But were the Nephilim just part of popular imagination, or could they have left real traces? Scholars who study these ancient accounts suggest that these giants may have represented forces of nature or cataclysms that shaped the ancient world. At the same time, archaeologists and enthusiasts suggest that giant bones found in battle regions or ancient graves could belong to these legendary beings. But the question remains, who or what really were the Nephilim? Were they linked to an ancient race, now extinct? Or do they represent a greater truth hidden between the pages of history? When the Israelites advanced toward the promised land, they did not expect to encounter giants as enemies. But upon arriving in Canaan, the spies sent by Moses returned with a frightening report. In that land, there lived giants, so tall and strong that they made them look like grasshoppers in comparison. These inhabitants, the descendants of the Nephilim, roused a deep fear in the people of Israel, who now found themselves faced with a crucial choice: confront these beings or give up on their promises. This biblical narrative brings to light the challenge of the Israelites when confronting a mysterious and threatening presence. The accounts of clashes and battles, with heroes who overcame fear and faced giants, echo themes of faith, courage and overcoming. For scholars, the presence of giants in the promised land perhaps symbolizes the obstacles we all face on the journey towards our goals. But is this interpretation complete? Or were there really giants in Canaan, ready to defend their lands against any intruder? Among all the giants mentioned in the Bible, none is as famous as Goliath. This Philistine warrior, described as a man of immense size and unparalleled strength, defeated the army of Israel and left an entire nation paralyzed with fear. He was known for his frightening size, heavy armor, and a spear that looked more like a tree than a weapon. Goliath was not a simple soldier. He was a living legend, a symbol of the invincibility of the Philistines, who haunted the thoughts of the Israelite soldiers. But who really was Goliath? Some believe he was a direct descendant of the Nephilim, a legacy of a time when giants inhabited the earth. Others see him as a soldier who personified the brutality and power of a warlike people. Be that as it may, which story begins to show the depth of the confrontation between the natural and the supernatural, between little David and the giant Goliath, a battle that would reveal eternal truth. The famous battle between David and Goliath is not just physical combat. It is, above all, a confrontation of faith and power. On the one hand, we have Goliath, an experienced, unbeatable and confident warrior, protected by his armor and with the security of the Philistine army at his side. On the other, there is David, a young shepherd, armed only with a sling and his unshakable trust in God. Against all odds, he decides to face the giant, turning the battle into a symbol of courage and overcoming. This emblematic duel still sparks reflections. Was David an unlikely hero, or was there something more to Vichay's victory? Many believe the story is a reminder of the strength of faith, while others see the encounter as a metaphor for the internal challenges we all face. However, there is also an intriguing theory that Goliath represented a physical and supernatural force that only someone with divine protection could overcome. After all, would David have won just through a skill or through the intervention of something great? The battle between David and Goliath marked not only the beginning of an unlikely hero, but also the destiny of an entire nation. In one fell swoop, David defeated Nephilim and defeated a seemingly invincible enemy. This confrontation was not just a clash between two warriors. It was a symbol of the triumph of faith over brute force, something that would inspire generations to fight their own giants too. But what exactly happened in this confrontation? How did a simple shepherd manage to defeat such a feared giant? Scholars suggest that, in addition to Vichay's dexterity with a sling, David had a confidence that wouldn't be a simple physical preparation. He saw the battle with Goliath as a spiritual mission, an opportunity to prove the power of Vichay's faith before everyone. But does this completely explain the victory? Or did Goliath have a vulnerability that only someone like David could exploit? Either way, the impact of this victory changed the history and launched David to greatness. But the mystery surrounding Goliath and Vichay's power still lingers. Goliath was not the only giant in Israel's history. The Bible mentions other colossal warriors, and some accounts suggest he may have hit equally formidable brothers or relatives. In the city of Gath, for example, there were records of giants who frightened neighboring tribes, and many believe that Goliath was just one of several descendants of a powerful lineage. Who were these giants? Did they all carry the same fury and impressive strength as Goliath? These reports raise the hypothesis that a race of unusual warriors could have remained alive in isolated areas and continued their traditions of power. In several battles, Israelite warriors faced these giants, suggesting that Goliath was perhaps just one example among many. This element adds even more mystery to the story, suggesting that David's fight against Goliath was just the beginning of a series of confrontations that Israel would face against these mythical figures. Why did Goliath and other giants possess such strength and endurance? Several theories try to explain the impressive characteristics of these beings, from biological interpretations to supernatural ideas. Some scholars suggest that these giants could be the result of genetic mutations or a condition known as gigantism. But does this explain the mystery? What made these warriors such feared figures? Another group of theorists believes that the strength of the giants was something more spiritual, possibly resulting from the descent of the Nephilim, who mixed the supernatural with the human. If Goliath really was one of the last descendants of this lineage, he would have not only physical strength, but also a mystical presence that intimidated his opponents. Thus, these giants become symbols not only of physical strength, but of a power that transcends the human, fueling fear and admiration at the same time. The story of the Nephilim does not end in Genesis. They reappear elsewhere in the Bible, especially in books like Numbers or reports of giants in the Promised Land resurface. These reports reinforce the idea that the presence of the Nephilim was a continuous mystery that permitted the imagination and fear of the Israelite people. But why were these giants, or their descendants, still present? Could it be that the destruction of the flood was not the end of this lineage? For many scholars, the recurring presence of the Nephilim in different parts of the biblical text is proof that they were not just a legend, but a feared reality. The accounts detail thriving encounters and epic battles, as if the Nephilim were a lingering shadow over Israel's history. Do these appearances simply represent a fear of the unknown, or do these giants really exist and continue to influence history in invisible ways? As archaeology and theology advance, many modern researchers attempt to explain the story of the Nephilim and Goliath in a new light. Some argue that biblical stories about giants may be related to archaeological discoveries such as larger normal bones, ancient structures, and even depictions of colossal human figures in Middle Eastern cultures. But how far does this evidence go? Do they prove the existence of the Nephilim? Other scholars take a more skeptical stance, suggesting that the giants may be a metaphor or symbolism for the enormous forces and challenges facing the people of Israel. However, the possibility that the legends are based on real events fascinates not only religious people, but also historians and researchers in search of answers. Modern science has not yet revealed all the secrets of the Nephilim, but interest continues, showing that the story of these giants still pulses in the collective imagination. Stories of the Nephilim are not limited to just the Bible. In cultures around the world, we find legends about giants with a striking resemblance to the Nephilim, reinforcing the mystery of their origin and purpose. Among the Greeks, the Titans were colossal beings and ancestors of the gods, while in Norse myths, giants like the Jotuns were an essential part of the cosmos and constantly challenged the gods. Are these stories a cause of an ancient and powerful civilization, or just cultural coincidences? For those who study comparative mythology, giants are seen as archetypes, representing forces of nature or threats incomprehensible to the common man. However, for others, the consistency of these stories across so many different cultures is an indication that perhaps there really were beings with superhuman characteristics spread throughout the world. But the question remains, are the Nephilim and other giants of mythology just symbols, or did they really walk among us? After so many reports and theories, the Nephilim continue to intrigue us. For many, they are a symbol of forces beyond human understanding. For others, they represent a historical mystery that may one day be revealed. The story of Goliath, with its unusual strength and unexpected defeat, is just one of the surviving fragments of the legends of the giants, but its impact is timeless. Could it be that the Nephilim were real and outside by side with the ancients? Or do they represent something more, an idea about the limits of human power and the search for answers? While archaeologists, theologians and historians debate their interpretations, one thing is certain: the legacy of the giants still lives on in our imaginations. Their stories continue to fascinate, reminding us that the world holds mysteries that may never be completely unrevealed. What really happened to the Nephilim? Perhaps the truth is hidden in the shadows of time, waiting to be discovered or kept secret forever. Imagine a time before recorded history, when the world was inhabited by gigantic beings, strong enough to crush rocks with their bare hands and able to see mortals as if they were nothing more than small insects. These beings, known as Nephilim, were the closest thing men believed to his two gods. But who are they? Really? The Bible presents these giants to us as the children of fallen angels with human women, beings of frightening power who inhabited the promised lands and beyond, in the imagination and reality of ancient peoples. In many accounts, they were feared and, at the same time, fascinated as a constant and unpredictable presence. Would they really have walked the earth? And if so, where did they go, and why is there almost nothing left of them other than fragments and stories? The accounts of the Nephilim appear mysteriously in the book of Genesis, as a passage that raises more questions than it answers. They appear as an immensely powerful and, apparently, rebellious race. Biblical tradition suggests that they represent the transgression of the boundaries between the divine and the human. But did this transgression only generate fear? Or could the Nephilim have brought wisdom, knowledge and skills that no one had before? Perhaps they were the missing link between the human and the supernatural, a forgotten connection between two worlds. There are those who argue that the emergence of the Nephilim changed the course of ancient civilizations, leaving marks and influences that echo to this day. Over the centuries, The enigma of the Nephilim became myth with other legends and mythologies of giants around the world. The Greeks talked about the Titans, ancient gods of immense strength, defeated by Zeus and other gods on Mount Olympus. To the Norse, the Jotuns were a race of giants who ruled chaos and destruction, defying the divinities of men. Across the planet, tribes, nations and empires told stories about extraordinary beings. Would these stories be independent, or would they all be linked to a deeper, more universal truth? In the Bible, the Israelites' confrontation with giants like Goliath is a milestone. When they stood before the Philistine giant, armed only with a sling, he was not facing just one man. He was facing an ancient force that carried with it the fear and mystery of the Nephilim. Goliath was, for the people of Israel, a symbol of the overwhelming power of a lineage they believed to be extinct. David wasn't sure what he would face when he stood against Goliath. He only knew that something much bigger was at stake. Goliath's defeat would mark the beginning of a series of victories that would transform David into king, but it would also leave a trail of questions. What made Goliath fall so easily? Could it have just been David's skill with the sling? Or were unseen forces at play? And the most fascinating thing is that Goliath was not a solitary giant. Other biblical accounts mention giant warriors and even Goliath's brothers who roamed the region. At a time when these beings were seen as mighty and, at the same time, real terrors, the Israelites developed a unique relationship with fear and reverence for these giants. Some modern scholars try to explain the presence of these giant warriors based on biology, suggesting that these figures could have suffered from gigantism. But is science capable of completely explaining the fear and mystic that surrounds these figures? Or were these giants truly descended from an ancient lineage that persists strength beyond what can be seen? There are also theorists and researchers who claim that the giants were deliberately eliminated or hidden from history. What could justify the lack of solid evidence about its existence? Were there secret groups interested in erasing the traces of the Nephilim? For those who believe in this theory, the giants posed a threat to the power of other civilizations and were systematically eliminated, their bones destroyed and their stories buried. A conspiracy is perhaps not so absurd when we think about how the story affects people's imagination to this day. Some archaeological finds, such as unusually large bones and controversial fossils, reinforce the belief that the Nephilim may actually have existed. As we move into the present, interest in the Nephilim only grows. In museums, in conspiracy theories, and in the most diverse cultures, giants continue to be a haunting presence. Why don't they live our collective memory? Why do they appear in the myths and stories of people who have never met? Perhaps, more than immense bodies and supernatural powers, the Nephilim represent something that is within each of us, the fascination with the unknown, the desire to transcend our reality, to touch the divine or to fear what we cannot control. Be that as it may, the Nephilim continue to represent what lies between the human and the supernatural, between the seen and the hidden. And in the end, they remind us that the world is bigger and older than we can imagine.